Hello, this is Bridget Rowe with Divine Essentials. Hi guys, how are you? Okay, we're going on to part 3 of the series in manifesting our ideal union, our ideal relationship. So if you've missed part 1 or part 2, I will have a little link down in the description and in the comments for you to go back and watch that. There's a playlist with the first 2 videos. The first video was all about just becoming clear on what it is that we're looking for. A lot of times people may be like, I really want love, I want love, I want love, but they're not like thinking about what that actually means to them. And so it can be a little bit harder to manifest it if you're not even really sure about what it is. And then week 2 was about shifting your energy and becoming like aware of the stuff that you're doing on a day-to-day basis. So like when you're waking up in the morning, being aware of how things would be different if somebody was there, and starting to like emanate that vibration as if they are. Also being aware of all the opportunities that we have every day to connect with people, to talk to people, and start attracting people to us. And using the power of attraction, using our essence, to start bringing these things to fruition a little bit easily. At the end of week 2, I did start to talk a little bit about beliefs. And I asked people to kind of start being aware of the beliefs that they're holding on to, or that they have in regards to themselves and to love, because this is a big thing. And our beliefs do so much. So whatever you believe, like in your core, it impacts everything. It impacts your money, it impacts your career, and it impacts your love. And we hold beliefs on a lot of different levels. So there's the past life, there's the genetic, there's our history, and then there is, society. Okay? So past life, I feel like past life kind of it comes into play because it's like before you even get here, you've got stuff that's carrying over from other lifetimes. So that can kind of like dictate like the family that you incarnate into, the soul contracts that you have, and whatever you went through in that lifetime can sometimes repeat in this lifetime, especially if there was a lot of stuff that didn't get cleared up. Maybe you had a lot of beliefs in that lifetime that you didn't like face and overcome, so they may start repeating in this one. One that I find is pretty big though is our genetic. So the genetic is like your parents and your great grandparents and all those people in your family line. So whatever great 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 grandma or grandpa went through can still be impacting you, because those beliefs come down through the genetics into your DNA, into your cells, and into your consciousness. And your mother passes that on to you while you're in the womb. Also, what she passes on to you while you're in the womb is her beliefs and her words and her feelings and her emotions. While you're still inside of her, you're being influenced by her stuff and your dad's stuff, because you can hear him and you can feel her reaction to him and all of that stuff that's going on. Then when you come out of the womb, it's like that's kind of part of your history. Okay, so your history is like your lived experience. Whatever you go through directly impacts you, and it forms beliefs. So a lot of this is all like intertwined. And then of course society. So even when you're in the womb, you're impacted by society, because you're going to hear stuff on the TV and on the radio and all of that stuff. And from the time you're in the womb until you're 7 years old, you are like a little sponge that just absorbs it all, sucks it all up, takes it all, and believes it all. And that's all you do for the first 7 years. So whoever you're around, whatever you're hearing, whatever you're exposed to, starts shaping your beliefs and your reality really, really quickly. And it can, it can be really detrimental, or it can be okay. But either way, it's usually not the 100% authentic, real truth, okay? Because everybody has beliefs. It doesn't matter how good of an angel your mom or your dad were, they probably have beliefs that are not true based off of what they've been exposed to through their lifetime. Okay, so you see how big this is. This is something that me trying to jam this into like a little video, it's just like hitting the tip of the iceberg, but it is such a big thing that we deal with on a day-to-day life, that even just having the awareness of it and understanding of it can really start to help you to change and transform things in your life and in your romantic experiences and your financial experiences and all of that. So after, you come out of the womb, and even in that experience when you come out of the womb is a traumatic one. So that ends up going into a cellular memory where it's like, ah. So for the rest of your life, whenever you're in a place of fear, you go back into like the same type of experience that you had if you were having. Sometimes people come out in a nice, comfortable, calm birth, but for the most part, people come out and it's like crying and cold and throwing around and snip this and it's just overdrive. So for the rest of your life, whenever you get scared, sometimes you go back to that shallow breathing and that like, ooh, you want to go back into the womb. Um, and again, that's cellular memory. And anytime we have a traumatic experience, it goes into our cellular memory. So if you're somebody that's been hit, whenever somebody like me like do something around you, oh, I do that because I was hit before. So when I'm around like even like guys, and if they like raise their voice too high, like they get too angry, I just assume they're gonna hit me. If they're stomping and banging, like I get really scared, um, because I've been hit. So it's like a natural thing inside of me that, oh my God, they're gonna freak out and hurt me. That's not good because we should, I should be able to allow men to get angry and express their anger without feeling like they're gonna beat the shit out of me. But that's a belief that something, that's in my cellular memory. So that's something I need to work on clearing out and healing. And it has gotten better over years. Like I've noticed I'm not as bad as I used to be. But if you were like sexually abused, that's something there too. So sometimes you may get triggered during a sexual, encounter with somebody, or you may have it happen like watching a movie. Um, maybe even hearing about something particular can set you off. If you were abused as a child, seeing somebody that wants to dress up, sexually, as like a schoolgirl could trigger something within you. So it really is dependent upon what you've been through, what you've experienced, how your beliefs are really shaping you and impacting your relationships. And again, just knowing this, I feel can really help people to start have the awareness of it and start to realize that it's not true. Okay, a lot of the stuff that we're thinking is not true. I've also noticed that with our history, like the lived experiences that we go through, can sometimes be good. Because if you came out into the womb for those first 7 years where you're really like, and you had your mother and your father who believed that like anybody who comes from a lot of money, or anybody who comes from, this background or that religion or this thing or is X, Y, and Z, and you believe that, but then you go out and you have an experience that completely contradicts that, that can be beneficial for you to help clear that belief away. However, it still kind of lingers because I've had like these experiences with myself where, my mother was always like, oh, people with money are this and that, they're self-absorbed and they only care about themselves and they're assholes and blah 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 blah, because she grew up very poor. Like literally, there was 8 kids in a bus with this much ice on the floor, and that's where they lived. So yeah, she had some beliefs, but I believe those beliefs were passed down to her. I don't think she ever directly experienced like a rich person be mean to her, but it was what they thought, it's what she was told, and maybe what she saw through society, like on TV and in movies and stuff like that. For me, I used to hear that all the time, and I was like, yeah, okay. And then as I've grown and gone through life, I've had experiences with people who are freaking rich, loaded, had lots of money, and all they've ever wanted to do is help me out and be nice to me and give me stuff and like, like be nice. Like they, even if they didn't want to give me stuff, they were still nice people. It wasn't like, I'm not trying to equate them with that. Like I'm just saying like they've never been like what she was saying, like greedy or, self, focused or whatever. Sometimes she would think that they were going to be like manipulative or try to use their money to have their power. I mean, I've definitely experienced that with people, but not all of them. So the times that I've experienced people that have been very abundant and been nice to me totally contradicted that. However, there's still like I can sense, like I can feel like a little bit of it. Like when you look at people on TV who are rich, or like the Kardashian thing. But even when you look at them, they're always like doing stuff, giving back to their people, and donating money and stuff like that. But when they do, like the first thing that comes to my mind is like tax write-off, because of what my mother has passed down to me. But I'm aware of it and I'm working on it. So you see what I mean? Like this really has a lot of layers to it, And so me just sitting down here and talking to you for like 20-30 minutes is going to be the tip of the iceberg. Now, society has like what they have considered norms, but that's dependent upon where you live. If you're in India, the norms of beauty and what should go on in a relationship is completely different from here. There's some places where you have to have an arranged marriage. There's some places where beauty, you don't even see a woman, all you see are her eyes. You know, there's some places where beauty is she's just butt naked all, and she's got big fake boobies and a little tiny waist and a little tiny butt, and you know, completely smooth, nothing wrong with her. And unfortunately, society makes everybody like look at that stuff. They plaster that everywhere. They put it on billboards, they put it in movies, and they make people feel inadequate and unlovable because they aren't whatever it is that their society is telling them they should be, or whatever their parents, you know, express to them should be, or whatever their great parents experienced that got passed down through the family line, and whatever you went through in your past lives, and whatever you've been through up to this point. So there's a lot. And after, you know, that 7-year mark where you're very like absorbent in taking all of that stuff, it's more of a repetitive thing that it takes for us to bring in new beliefs. So like you notice kids around 7 years old, they go to school. When they go to school, what do? They learn repetitively these things. Usually things that somebody else wrote and put into a book, or you know, things that everybody else accepts as true, or the, you know, belief that people should accept. But again, it's dependent upon where they live. I'm sure the history books in the US are completely different from the history books elsewhere. But yeah, they go into school and they have to regurgitate this information over and over and over for many, you know, months and years until it's hammered in there. So when you come out of school and you want to do this work, in order for us to clear out and like establish new beliefs, it takes a little bit of repetitiveness. Like becoming aware of them is that first step. But then we also have to like clear those away, and anytime we notice those coming in, be like, okay, there it is, that obviously isn't true, let me replace this. You can't just replace it like that. It's going to take repetitiveness, at least 21 days for us to take away a habit or to make a habit into our lives. So at least 21 days to reprogram the subconscious beliefs inside of ourselves. And because there's so many on so many different levels, it's going to be a lot more than that, right? So I'm going to say 21 days of mirror work, and I'm going to give you guys a little meditation that you can use. Another way to kind of like beat the system with this is, instead of just like being at your like, you know, go alpha, here I am state, going down into like the theta, like the relaxed, like right when you're waking up, right when you're going to sleep state, the meditative state, is a way to reprogram without having to like have all that resistance of your mind like fighting it and ignoring it and thinking all these other things around it. It just accepts it a little bit easier, the same way it would as if you were a little baby, okay? Because a little baby isn't thinking like, oh, that doesn't make sense, and oh no, but that's not true, and blah 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 blah. When you're in that relaxed, like, it's easier for us to reprogram and to bring in new stuff. But again, it still takes a lot of repetitiveness. And this takes work for you as an individual to figure out exactly what is going on for you as an individual in regards to love, or in regards to money, or in regards to your career, or even just in regards to yourself, okay? So another part of this, like when you're in that time when you're growing up, you know, those first 7 years, a lot of what your parents are talking to you about, whether it's coming from a good place or not, can sometimes set us up to a place where it's very hard for us to truly love ourselves, especially adding in all the stuff from society and all the other stuff that we go through, like going to, like when you start dealing with other people and bullying and, you know, seeing stuff on TV that you don't have, that like gets all glamorized and stuff like that. When you have people telling you like, you got to try harder, you got to do more, don't touch that, don't do this, don't say that, it creates this thing within you that makes you feel like You're always going to be looking over your shoulder like, I got to do more, I got to try harder, I got to be better. Your brother was talking and walking and doing this at this age. Jealousy starts coming in. All of this stuff, whether, again, it doesn't have to be done to you in a bad way. It's just what's done to us. And it sets us up for later on in life having a difficulty just loving ourselves for who we are, because we're constantly being told to do more, to be more, to get better, to do it faster, to not do this. That's not okay. And it's like overwhelm. But when you get to grow up and it's like people like, oh, love yourself. It's like, well, what? Like you what? I can't. It's hard for us to truly, truly embrace and love every inch of ourselves, inside and outside, because our entire journey up until now has been contradicting of that. You got to do this, you got to do that, you got to get better, you got to get stronger, you got to get faster. Like what I do, putting these videos out, there's like 10,000 people who all like and comment and everything's great. I always notice like the 9 that didn't, the 9 that disliked it, or the one person that was like, it's the negative stuff. That's what we focus on. It's the stuff that it's 10 times more powerful than the positive stuff. For whatever reason, it just sticks. And the same thing with our beliefs. When we have these negative beliefs and they like start creeping up during the day and we notice them, it takes like us to be like, no, cancel, clear, delete. Let me replace that. You got to like repeat that with a new positive belief in place of that, like 4 or 5 times, to cancel the energy of the negative one. And you got to keep doing it, and keep doing it, and keep doing it until those ones get smaller and smaller and smaller and farther away. It takes time, it takes effort, and it takes awareness. And through doing this work, it also helps us to release a lot of judgment and like nastiness that we do to people, especially like on the society level, because I saw it recently. I was on high alert this week because I knew I was like being aware of beliefs. And one of the things that I did was I shared in the Facebook group that I have for the Twin Flame support, and then on the community board here, about how like I always have this thing about feeling like I'm not doing enough. And I think that comes from like childhood, where it's like, you gotta do more, you gotta be better, you're smarter than that, but you're better than that, and blah, 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 blah. I gotta do more, I gotta do more. Now I'm at this point where it's like I never feel like I'm doing enough, but I'm doing way too much. And because of that, I see how it can impact like potential relationship situations, where it's like, do I really have enough time to even date somebody? Like I barely have enough time to do what I do. And because of past experiences in relationships where I was like cheated on, it makes me feel like I might not be able to give a man enough sexual attention, because I was doing that with a situation where it was like, I tuck him in at night, get him up, and rode this and over here and over that, and it was always doing stuff, but he still cheated. So that has kind of set that thing up where it's like, or do I have enough time to give to somebody sexually enough what they need? So there's again levels and layers. So I dissected all of that in that post, and I had chosen a picture. And the picture I chose was because there was this big like thing on the girl. She had like this big mask. And I feel like that's what beliefs are. It's like a mask. It like hides us from the truth. And it was like a darker image. She was like scrouched down and stuff. Somebody came to it and was like, that's an off-putting image because she's too skinny and has fake boobs. She looks like one of those Instagram models. That in itself was a whole bunch of societal beliefs that weren't good. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying anything negative about the person that commented it. It just caught my attention because when I looked at the image, I didn't see that stuff. And when she said that, I did. But I also know through experiences that like sometimes we can't control how skinny we are. Sometimes that's just a person's natural body, and we don't know if her boobs are fake. Like, she was in this position where her boobs could have looked that way because that's just how she was. Like, whatever. There was no scar or whatever to tell us that they were fake boobs. They could have been her boobs. And who cares if they're not? Like, that's that girl's thing. Whatever she went through. Maybe she had cancer and they took her real boobs and that's a reconstruction to help her. Maybe she doesn't have a lot of weight on her because she just went through cancer and chemo and all of that. It's going to take a while for her to get back up. It's probably not the case, but it could be. And then putting it into that Instagram thing was like, even more. Like, okay, like it's just okay, so anybody who has fake boobs and is skinny is an Instagram model. And is there anything wrong with being an Instagram model? They're very abundant. They travel the world. They do whatever they want because they're beautiful and people think they're beautiful and they believe they're beautiful. So they take advantage of that and do what they got to do with it. Instead of judging them for it or being put off by it, just accept it and congratulate them for whatever they do. And for the people that have to go and change themselves and do that stuff, don't get wrapped up into it and criticize them. Just know that they're doing it probably because of what society has done to them and what their beliefs have done to them that made them feel like their boobs weren't good enough or that their face wasn't okay as it was. Whatever it makes people want to, Photoshop and do all the stuff that they do to their images. It's like, okay, there's obviously a reason for that, and it's because of society, it's because of beliefs. But when we do this and we start digging into our own stuff, it helps us to release that, okay? So when it comes to our relationships, a lot of times we start having beliefs like, I'm not good enough, I'm not beautiful enough, I'm not sexy enough. Like if you look at that whole instant with the image, the girl that was off put by it is probably because she doesn't look like that, right? And she may feel like men like that more than whatever she was bringing to the table. I'm not saying that's the case, but that could be what it was that like triggered that response within her that makes her like, oh, like when she goes on Instagram, it's not like an intentional thing. It's just that that's how she reacts to it because that's how society's bombarding us to make us feel like if we don't look like that, then, guys aren't going to give us the same attention they would give to that girl. Okay, so those are the things that we need to realize aren't true because I've seen women on Instagram that are, 300 plus pounds, tons of cellulite, tons of stuff going on, and they've got just as many followers as the one that's all skinny and fakey and all of that, okay? So it does not matter what you look like. It does not matter your size, your shape, it doesn't matter your color, like whatever you got going on, there is somebody out there who's going to love you exactly as you are. They always say, love is blind, because it is. And there's also people out there who prefer exactly what you've got. And when we think about like societal things and norms and all of that, and porn and the stuff that we see, a lot of it isn't norm. It's not the norm. It's not normal for people to have those big, fake, perfect boobs. It's not normal for, vaginas to all be like compact and look exactly alike. It's not, like I guarantee you, if you get all your girlfriends together and you get into the room, you're going to find that you are norm. Like if you all got naked and stripped down in front of each other, you're going to be like, we're all normal, okay? The people they're putting on TV are not normal. And that creates this like thing for us to like we start attaining something that's not real, that's unattainable. That's why people start poking and prodding and changing, and then it gets crazy because then they're like, oh, I changed that little bump in my nose and now it doesn't line up with my cheeks just right, so now I'm gonna, and they turn into a monster. It's just like a domino effect. But instead of having to go with the domino effect, we can realize that we're perfect as we are, we're beautiful as we are the norm, and there's somebody out there who's gonna fucking love every single inch of you from head to toe. So that's part of it, is like loving ourselves physically, but then also loving ourselves emotionally and realizing that just because mom got cheated on or just because you got cheated on doesn't mean that somebody else is going to cheat on you. And you don't want to start setting yourself up for that where somebody does eventually cheat on you because you're just so worried that they would, or that somebody's going to hit you, or somebody's going to rape you, or somebody's going to do whatever it has been that you've either seen, heard of, or directly lived through. So in order to do this, the first thing I think people should be doing for the next 21 days at least is mirror work. So with mirror work, I want you to go into the bathroom and strip down, get naked, or wherever you're comfortable. If you've got like a mirror in your bedroom, I just want you to get naked, make sure it's warm, and I want you to like study your whole body. And I want you to start with the parts of yourself that you love unconditionally, like the parts that you think are good. Like we all have at least one part of our body that like we find is better than the rest, right? Like, oh, I got good eyes, or I got a good, jawline, or what, that's not my jawline, but you know what I mean. There's some part of us that we probably think is better than the other, that like we're proud to have. Maybe it's your booty, maybe it's your hoo-ha, maybe it's your tatas, maybe it's your eyes, whatever it is. It's your hair, whatever it is. I want you to start there and really like feel how you feel when you're looking at that, okay? And I don't want you to go in there like all dolled up and everything. I want you to strip down, naked, raw, real you, and take it all in. And start with the part of yourself that you like the most and how that feels to you, like what that means to you, what that represents to you, how sexy it feels, how beautiful it is, you know, like how happy you are that you have it. And then kind of continue on to other parts of yourself, like, you know, like I really like this and I like this, or I like how this, you know, goes here, whatever it is. And slowly work your way to whatever part of you you don't like, okay? Maybe you really like stuff over here, but your nose has something that you're not crazy about. I want you to maintain the vibration and the feeling that you have with the parts of you that you love and carry it over to the other parts. And instead of like not loving it, just keep that vibration of love and acceptance. And then with that knowledge and that wisdom that there's somebody out there who's gonna love that. Like, I have this little like thing on my nose that does this, and I don't, it's like a little bump or whatever. It's not that I don't like it or whatever, but I never noticed it until like I saw a picture of myself turned. But there's been so many guys that love my nose. My nose. Of all things. Like, my ex was obsessed with my nose. Like, he was always, I can't even put my finger in there. I just want to, like, try to get my finger. It's so cute. It's so little. Like, obsessed with it. And I always was like, mm. So, like I'm saying, the things that you may not like, somebody's gonna love. If they love you, they're gonna love everything on you. Another thing that I struggled with was cellulite. So, like, I'm okay with a lot of things about myself. I know, like, I'm pretty. Like, I don't think I'm, like, hideous. I definitely have issues with confidence. I was picked on as a kid. Everybody called me a boy. I was overweight a lot of different times. My biggest, like, in adult size was 165. My smallest was, like, 100 pounds. And I was, like, Skeletor. So I've had the range of all of it. I've felt fat. I've felt too small. I've been ridiculed. I've been made fun of. I've been told I'm beautiful. I've experienced it all. Through doing this work, though, I do feel like I've become more beautiful. Like, I feel like I've reversed, like, in years. Like, it's weird. It's hard to explain. But I feel more vibrant, more happy, like, more energetic, more, like, pretty than I did back when I was younger. And that's probably because of the stuff I was doing to myself. I was a heroin addict, for those that do not know. I was not somebody that was healthy, and that was one of the reasons why I stayed in a toxic relationship so long, because he was the reason I stopped doing drugs, was to be with him. And I felt like if I left there, I wouldn't be, like, that was the beliefs. This shows you, like, I was like, oh, if I leave him, I might go back into that. And I didn't want to go back into that. But the fact that I didn't want to go back into that should have showed me that I could leave him and still not go back into that. But this is how beliefs work. They're ingrained in us. They're weird. They make us do stuff that we shouldn't do. But anyways, cellulite. When I was 7, at that age of, here you go, it sticks to you, there was a boy that grew up next door to me, going up the stairs in front of him, had shorts on, and he goes, what's that? It was a dimple. I had no idea what it was. I went home and asked my mom. She's like, oh, it's a dimple. It's cellulite. The rest of my life, I've always wanted to hide my legs. I wear long skirts, long dresses. When I was a kid and, like, it was time for bathing suits, I'd wear t-shirts down to my knees. Like, always wanted to hide it. Always felt like something was wrong with it. I still buy. I have oil in the bathroom right now that's, like, gets rid of cellulite. The little cup sucky things that, like, you do. The only time I don't have cellulite is when I'm Skeletor. And I've never had another guy in my life be like, ooh, or say anything about it. You know, like, I've mentioned it to men that I've been with, but they're like, what? Like, they don't see it. Love is blind. They don't care. When you're naked on top of them, they're not like, there's a dimple. Yeah, the good ones, at least. But this is what I mean. Like, we have all these things inside of us that we're going to find something to pick apart. I want you to use this mirror work as a way of, like, embracing everything, loving it, acknowledging, and realizing that there's men out there who like it. Like, I saw a video recently that was, like, a guy who was, like, talking about things that guys like about women that women don't know, and one of the things the guy loved was cellulite. He's like, I love, like, a real ass and legs that has, like, bumps and, like, it's just real. Like, he really loved it. So there's somebody out there who's gonna love what you got. And I can't remember what I was going to say about that. There's another. Oh, so then, like, your vagina and everything, you know, like seeing all those things. I want you to study your vagina and get to know it and love it because, or your penis. Because the ones that they're showing to us on TV, the ones that we're seeing on, you know, porns and stuff like that, that's not real. That's just, I mean, it's real, but it's not like the norm, okay? It's not like everybody's walking around like all perfect and all huge. That's not norm, okay? So I want you to start looking at all of that stuff and embracing it and maintaining that feeling that you had when you were looking at the parts of you that you did love and accepting all of you and knowing that because you're accepting it and you're loving yourself, somebody else will. And somebody else is going to be attracted to specifically what you have. And again, with those beliefs like that make us feel like hard to love ourselves, if we have a hard time believing that we love ourselves and believing in ourselves, it's hard for us to believe somebody else can. So that's why it's so important to start really believing and loving yourself. Not that, like, if you don't love yourself, somebody else can't, but you're not going to be able to believe that they do if you don't, okay? That's what's important here, is believing that they do. Because if you don't, you're going to struggle to believe that someone loves you, or doesn't notice the dimple on your leg, or doesn't notice that your vagina doesn't look like the one on the frickin' porn there, or that, you know, whatever it is about you. Maybe you've got extra hair on your arm. I've seen girls freak out about that. There's all of these things. And then the other part that I want to do with you guys is like a little meditation. So what I'm going to do is do the little meditation separately, put it down in the comment section. That way you guys can use it every morning or every night for the next 21 days. And it won't be like me talking or you having to timestamp and all that. Just put it on a playlist separately for yourself. You can even you can put the same video on the same playlist like multiple times. So before you go to bed at night, you can listen to the same thing over and over and over. Add a whole playlist of all meditations there's tons of them out there specific for limiting beliefs, okay? So try to do this because it's going to help you in all areas of your life. It will help you with your money. It will help you with career. It will help you with your relationships. I'm going to do one specific to relationships that as you listen to the next 21 days can help you to like replace beliefs that don't serve you. I also think like because there's so many of you out there and because so many of you can have different beliefs that connect to relationships, it's going to be hard for me to like give you a specific thing for yourself. I'm going to do as best as I can. And then let me know what you guys think. Like if you want me to do like a follow-up to this and talk more about beliefs and like the different things that could be impacting us with our relationships, I will. Or if you want me to do one about money or career, let me know. But I do want to continue on with this series as well for love. So next week, let me know if you want me to continue with the beliefs or go deeper into something else, and try to at least do this for yourself every day. You know, every time you go into the mirror, I'm going to write down some affirmations for you guys too. You could, you know, write down your own affirmations specific to your belief system of what you've been through that's opposite of that, or even just about loving yourself. Put it on the mirror. Every time you go in there, stop and repeat these to yourself, and then look in the mirror and feel it, believe it, trust it. That's another form of mirror work, okay? So mirrors are like portals. They're very powerful. It's when we work with them and our intention, it intensifies things. So you can really utilize this stuff to really start shifting how you feel about you and trusting and knowing how others are going to feel about you, and knowing that the right person's coming along who is going to love you abundantly and who is going to find that you're beautiful and sexy and isn't going to be picking you apart or cheating on you or ghosting you or running from you or doing any of the things that you've come to believe are acceptable because you're not loving yourself enough to know that that's not acceptable. So you see what I mean? Like, I feel like I could do a whole other video on this, especially specific to the people in the twin flame situations where it's like you guys have come to allow beliefs that are not good because you think it's a twin flame, like that it's okay that they ghost you, and that it's okay that they run, and that it's okay that they don't communicate, and it's okay that they have karmics and all this other crap. Let me know if you want me to go deeper into it, okay? Because if there's enough of you who do, I will. If not, I might just do it in the group for the twin flame support. But for now, I want you guys to do the mirror work, really work on loving yourself. I'm going to make a meditation for you down below. You don't have to use it. You can use any of them out there, but at least give yourself 21 days to reprogram your consciousness and some of the beliefs that you hold so that you can shift your life and your energy and become abundant. This is the stuff I've been doing for the past, 8 or 9 years, and my life has changed significantly. I've only really gotten serious about it for the last like 4 or 5. And in the last 2, after leaving that relationship, so much has gone better for me. So I know these things work. I see how they work. And I believe it can help you in manifesting a lot of different things into your world. But I'm going to do the little meditation for you. It's just going to be a short one, which is good because I know a lot of people don't like to just sit back and meditate for a long time. But for those of you who would want a longer one, it will be set so it can be just like repeated over and over for you. And that'll be down below. I'm not going to post it like publicly. It's going to be unlisted, but you'll have the link so you can watch it as many times as you want. And yeah, I think that's it for now. So depending on the feedback I get from this will depend on what next week's topic is. If you guys feel like you got enough out of this, I'll go on to the next part. But if not, we'll go deeper into the beliefs that could be impacting those of you dealing with twin flames and stuff like that, okay? All right, so thank you guys very much. I think I covered everything that I wanted to cover in this. I feel like I'm leaving so much out because there is so much to this, but there's only so much I can do in like 35 minutes. So, in Mune, namaste.